Hello, and welcome to today's Careful Conversation discussion series. This program is being made possible by a collaborative effort between AARP Colorado and Care Partners Resource. My name is Lori Ramos Lemasters, and I'm founder of Care Partners Resource. I'm a former caregiver, and I currently work as a caregiving expert, professional speaker, and certified Journal to the Self instructor. I built Care Partners Resource to help care partners overcome the daily challenges of caring for a loved one by offering practical solutions to difficult decisions that caregivers struggle with every day. As part of this mission, AARP and I have partnered to bring you 7 10-minute careful conversations. Each will offer valuable information that we hope will help you in your caregiving journey. Today's conversation is co-hosted with my friend and colleague, Nadine Roberts-Cornish. Nadine is a caregiving expert with 15 years personal caregiving experience and 10 years of professional experience consulting with and supporting family caregivers as a certified senior advisor. She's a professional speaker and author of the award-winning book, Tears in My Gumbo, The Caregiver's Recipe for Resilience. Nadine launched a movement called Curiosity to raise awareness around the world about the caregiver pandemic.
Well, Lori, thank you for that introduction. And now we get to turn the tables, and I get to ask you questions, particularly because today we're talking about self-care, right. W-R-I-T-E. And so, Lori, you are one of the first certified Journal to the Self instructors I've ever had the pleasure of meeting. And so I'd like for you to explain to us just what is a certified Journal to the Self instructor.
Okay. Well, Journal to the Self is a specific technique of journal writing.
Okay.
And I became certified because I was caring for my mother. Mm-hmm. And actually, I became certified a couple years before that using Journal to the Self techniques. And the difference between regular journal writing and Journal to the Self is it's a very specific way of journaling that helps you not only vent, but also find solutions to what you're venting about.
Okay.
And that's really helpful for caregivers, I find, because it allows them to find better ways of managing the challenges when they're caring for their loved ones.
Okay. So as a caregiver who journaled, did you do this on a daily basis, or did you have a designated time once a week, or what was your routine like when it came to journaling?
You know, I would love to say that I journaled every single day and I was diligent about it, but the truth of the matter is caregiving tends to take the main focus, right?
Yes.
The things you're doing with your loved one and everything. So especially in the beginning, I really found that mostly when I wrote was when I was really upset about something or really needed to work through something.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was your venting tool.
It absolutely was my venting tool. But Journal to the Self teaches one other thing.
Okay.
It teaches you to reread what you've written and do what Kay Adams calls, Kay is the founder and inventor, if you will, of Journal to the Self.
Okay.
And so when Kathleen was doing her research and starting the program, what she realized was that if you reread what you write and you do what's called a feedback write, that little 2-minute write is where you get your awareness.
Oh, okay. So why don't you give me an example of a scenario where you wrote something and then you did a feedback rewrite and what you gained from that?
Sure. So I remember one specific occasion where during my caregiving process, my mom was a stroke survivor.
Okay.
And after her stroke, she was left as an expressive aphasic, which means she could not use language to express herself. So what would happen is every time, what I discovered was that the best way for me to get out and practice a little self-care was to go out in the evening. After I had spent the day with her, after I fed her dinner, I put her to bed, I would have someone come in to care for her. Okay. And I would go out. And this one particular evening I was going out, and she would point at the clock and do me. And so I got really upset, and I'm like, look, Mom, there's so-and-so, Jill is here to take care of you, and Gail and I are going out for dinner, and you're fine, you're taken care of, and I'll be home when I get home. I love you, and I'm out.
Okay.
And so Gail and I get in the car, and she looks at me and is like, wow, that was really quite a reaction. You know, she just wanted to know when you were coming home. So, of course, it wasn't a great self-care evening because I felt really bad. And when I came home, I went in and woke my mom up to apologize. And then I went to my room and I wrote about it. And during my feedback I had an awareness that what was happening whenever she would question me is I was turning into that 16-year-old. And I felt like I was being curfewed.
Oh, okay. Right. And until you did that rewrite, you didn't recognize
I
that,
had
right?
no awareness of that.
And so how did that affect your interaction with your mom the next time she asked you about, you know, what time are you going to be back?
Well, she never had to ask me again,
Okay.
because what I did was when I had that realization, so every time I would leave, then I would go in and I would say, Mom, I'm going to dinner with whomever, and we might have an extra glass of wine, so I probably won't be home till 11 or maybe 12. So go ahead and go to sleep, and I'll see you in the morning. And that set her at ease, and it set me at ease, and it just made for a much better situation.
I love that. I love that. And all of that you discover because you wrote, you took the time to write.
Right.
And then that rewrite exercise.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yep.
So in my experience as a caregiver, my writing started first with my case management notes, right? And I didn't call them that. I just documented everything that was happening because of the complexities of my mom's situation. I needed to write everything down. And eventually I shifted from not just writing everything about her down, but also to writing what I was feeling and what I was going through as well. And years later, I still have those notes. I go back to them, and I actually used that as part of my research and my work when I began writing my book, Tears in My Gumbo. So even though most of us are not thinking about what happens after the caregiving journey, when we document and we keep the important notes around the experience, you know, we find later on that, wow, this might be valuable to someone else, right?
Right. Well, note-taking is a technique of journaling, and it's also helps you stay on schedule. It helps you manage your day better, because oftentimes if we have a list of 20 things that we need to do in a day, and as a typical caregiving day, things throw you off.
Exactly.
If you've got it written down, it's easy to look at and say, well, this can be done tomorrow, or this doesn't need to be done today. It can be done next week, or, you know, it lessens the panic that a caregiver might have when things are thrown into the loop.
So it helps with organization.
Definitely.
Ah, very, very good. Okay, so did you find journaling to be a really effective tool for venting or sharing thoughts that you might not be able to share with your loved one or anybody else for that matter?
Absolutely. A journal is your confidant. So it's a place that you can go to and write down how you're feeling honestly and get it out without the fear of judgment. One thing I always tell the caregivers in my classes is to find a buddy and let them know that you're journaling, and let them know where you hide your journal, because most of us hide our journal. But you want to make sure that someone knows where it is so that the wrong person doesn't find it if anything should happen to you. And that's a really good way for you to feel comfortable, really being honest and venting those emotions and feelings. Because the truth of the matter is, because you said yes to caregiving, you didn't suddenly become a saint. Right? So all those normal feelings and emotions are still true. They still, you are normal. You are as a caregiver, sometimes we have feelings of, when is this going to be over? I am really angry at my loved one today, or I wish, if you're, I wish I could go on a date with my husband, just, like a normal date for a change. And you obviously don't want to say those things to your loved one. You don't want to make them feel bad, but at the same time, you're normal, it's natural to have those kind of emotions and feelings.
I love that. And the journal gives you a safe place.
Absolutely.
To document or share those feelings, right?
Absolutely.
All righty. Well, Lori, I think our time's up. So I want to thank you for the insight that you provided today. And we want to thank the caregiver for tuning in to Careful Conversations. We hope that you've learned some strategies to make your caregiving journey a healthier experience. We encourage you to bookmark this link to refer to in the future. Each time you watch, you'll hear something different based upon where you are and where your loved one is in this caregiving journey and your current needs. Thank you to AARP for helping to make these Careful Conversations available. I encourage you to watch the entire series of Careful Conversations, and please add your comments to let us know your thoughts and ideas for future conversations. We hope you find each session to be helpful and informative. Take care, and remember, you don't have to be alone in your caregiving journey. Thank you.